Good day, and welcome to today's episode of Entrepreneur and Enterprise Development Series. My name is Podiso Mudirwa, and I am with Moemedi Sinmelo. Today, we're going to be talking about coming up with a feasible business idea. Mr. Sinmelo, welcome.
Thank you, Podiso.
Yeah, so the first thing I really want to ask you is, what is a feasible business idea to you?
Welcome, everyone. Talking about a feasible business idea, we are looking at an idea that can work. The word feasible simply means something that works, something that is practical, something that is profitable. When you go further, you are talking about something that is able to generate income and make a profit. So some ideas are good, but the environment that you bring them to might not support them as compared to where you saw them. You can see an idea in another place and bring it here, and it's not necessarily going to work the same way it worked out in that other place. So when we're looking at feasibility, we are looking at can this idea work? Can this idea work in this environment that I'm in this culture that I'm in this kind of thinking of people in this place? Can they accept something of this nature? So those are the kind of questions that you ask yourself when you are looking into a business idea that you want to implement, that you want to run with. Yeah.
Okay, great. Not to delve too much into the personal, but what did you think about when coming up with your idea of starting your tuition business?
Really, the idea came. It's like I didn't think about the idea, but I found myself having been forced to meet a need that was there. I remember after I finished Form 5, I volunteered with the guys in counseling department at Naledi. Then students needed help with maths, physics, biology, and chemistry. So that is how the idea came. It was not me sitting down and saying, what idea can I do? What business can I do? But it is people requesting a certain service from me that ended up leading me to say, okay, let me serve these people. Then out of that, a business idea was born.
Interesting. In your book, Becoming an Entrepreneur, you talk about 10 ways of identifying a business idea, and I'd like us to talk about that. The first thing that you spoke about in the book was background. I want to ask, to what extent do you think someone's background should inform their business idea?
Background, like using my example in this case, as a student, for the most part of the years, my academic years, I was a slow learner. It took me long to grasp concepts. I would always be behind other students in class. I remember when I was doing Standard 2, it took me long for me to know how to read and I ended up having to repeat a level. I repeated Standard 2 because of that. So throughout, as I was learning, as I was a student, I didn't know that I was a slow learner, but I only realized it when I was now starting to do a tuition, to say, okay, having to become a tutor. One of the characteristics that you need is to being patient, is to being understanding, especially when you are dealing with students who are slow learners. You need that element of patience. And if you are not a slow learner yourself, it's not going to be easy for you to understand that some students learn slowly. You'll expect every student to, if you're a fast learner and you are given a student who has slow learners, you might not have the same patience that a teacher who has a slow learner would have. So for me, that showed me that, these students, they need to be given a chance. It's not like they can't learn or they are not intelligent. It's just that they learn slowly and they need someone who can be patient with them. And having been a slow learner, having learned that I take time to learn things, and I learn things after someone has been patient with me and explained everything to me. So that has influenced also the decision to say, let me jump at this opportunity to come up with a business that helps students who are slow learners to pick their results, students who have failed, they want to improve their results. It all came from that background of having myself been a slow learner and always failing the first term exams and the second term, and I would get my marks improving towards the end of the year as I had more time to go through the material.
Interesting. The next thing that you talked about is passion. How important is being passionate about a business idea that one has?
I would say it's not easy to run something that you are not patient with, you are not passionate about, because sometimes we hear someone saying, "I'm doing this kind of business, I'm tutoring, and I make 50,000 a year." Sorry, 50,000 a month. And then someone will be like, wow, that's a big opportunity. I want to make 50,000 a month also. And they rush into the idea and they start a tutoring business also. Little do they don't have the patience. They don't have the patience to be sitting down with slow learners, students who don't know how to read, students who don't know how to write, students who, you have to explain the same thing over and over again. They don't have that. So you need that element to be able to make that particular business to work. Not just because of the potential income that is there or the profit potential that you hear someone, or you just see someone driving a nice car and you ask, what are they doing? They tell you they are a lawyer, and it's like, I'm going to have a law firm. And you become a lawyer. But there are other attributes that you need to be a lawyer. There are other characteristics that you have to develop in order to be a lawyer and run a law firm. So those are the things that you look at. You don't just pick something because of what you hear about it or what you see about it or how prestigious it is, but you pick something that even when it's running at a loss, you can run with it. When it doesn't make money, you can still run with it.
All right. What about knowledge and skill? Do I need to go to school if I come up with a business idea? Do I need to be educated in a way, like formally, in line with what the business idea will be about?
There's really knowledge that you get from the society, or you get when you are growing up, or from interacting with other people. And also, the same thing is true about skills. There are skills that you are going to learn from other people by not necessarily going to a formal school. And there are skills that you are going to learn by going to a school and acquiring them. So either any of those, if you have knowledge from school, or you have skills from school, or you learn them from other people that you interacted with, every skill can be converted into a business. For example, if you have the skill of plaiting hair, I'll give you an example of plaiting hair. You can use that skill to build a business around it. You build a salon around the skill of plaiting hair. You can build a business around the skill of landscaping. You become a landscaper. You can build a business around the skill of being a tailor. If you know how to sew, you know how to operate those sewing machines, you can build a business around that skill. It's a skill that you can learn from someone. It's a skill that you can go to school to learn. Or if you are good at cooking, you can build a restaurant or a catering company out of that. So any skill that you have has value. It has potential of turning into a business. You just have to look into it and say, how do I commercialize my skill? How do I earn a living out of what I know? So, and then the answers to that are your business idea.
Awesome. You also talked about experience, but where do I get experience? If I have a business idea that I've not particularly worked in an industry that my business idea is in, what then? Can I still delve into business without that experience?
Experience here, I was particularly addressing people who have experience somewhere. Like they have to have worked somewhere for some time, and they come to a point where they say, I have worked long enough. I want to start my own business. And sometimes they look too far. Like some people just look too far. You are into a particular field, maybe you're an accountant right now, and you are looking at agriculture, whereas the nearest skill that you can do is to set up an accounting firm. You have been an accountant for 10 years, you have all the qualifications in accounting. The easiest business to start is an accounting firm or becoming a consultant, So sometimes we look too far from where we are, from the skills that we have harnessed over years. And for example, a teacher who has taught for 10 years, for 5 years, they can be able to write a book. They can be able to set up a tutoring company. They can be able to set up a college and specialize in a particular field that they have studied.
All right. There's also the issue of the gap in the market, that when you're starting a business, you must be able to look or research and find out where in the market you can fill in. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but how do I tell that I will be able to fill that particular gap? Say I find a gap, because I'm looking for something that I can sell and something that can make me profit. But how do I determine that this is actually a space or a gap that I can fill with my business?
A gap in the market. Looking into the customers, like if you have worked somewhere or you have interacted with people in general, there will always be something that people will complain about. They'll be like, okay, what if this was this way? Why is this not here? Why is this no such service? Why is there no product like this? So that is to say, we are looking for this. Can someone provide it? If someone provides it, it means already there are people who say they are looking for that. If you go to your home village and there's no swimming place, there's no a place where you can just go and swim there, and you'll be chilling maybe during your December vacation, and everybody's complaining, where can we swim, that shows you that there's a gap in the market. Or you go to your home village and there's no taxi, there's no one who is operating a taxi around, so for you to get from one place to the other, you just have to walk, or you have to be having your own car. So that shows that there's a gap in the market that needs to be filled. Someone has to provide such a product or a service in order to serve that particular market. And once you have identified a missing gap in the market, it's easier for you to be able to serve that market and make income that can also be profitable.
About gifts and talent, would you say it's safe to assume that what I'm gifted in, or what someone is gifted in, is actually a guide for what kind of business they should go into?
Yes, for some people that's the case. Not for everyone, because other people they are going to learn some other skills that are going to make them the business people that they are, like successful business people. And then other people really, they just have to depend on their natural inborn skills. Like if we take, for example, musicians, we take, for example, football players, or all sports people, their business is modeled around their talents. The advertising that they do, the modeling of products, advertising, everything that they do, the business is really around their name, their brand, their personal brand. You cannot separate them from you cannot separate the business from the person. The person and the business are one, because they're selling their personal brand. They're selling is that skill that has opened doors for them to be a public figure, to be a famous person, that companies can advertise their products or their services through their faces or through their images. So that makes them not being able. That's why when those kind of people, when they do something that is wrong in the public's eye, they even lose the businesses that they had. Like if someone falls into trouble, they do something naughty in public and it's discovered, even the business that they had just goes all away. So they really is about personal brand.
Okay. What about traveling? Would you say that your own travels have helped you in any way develop the business ideas that you've had or that you've already implemented?
Very much. Like to the extent that I deliberately travel to get ideas. That if I see that there's something that I see something on the I read about some place, or I see something on the internet that is amazing and is similar to the vision that we are building as a company, I physically go there and see it practically and experience it practically, to be able to learn from it and implement all the ideas that we saw there here. And then also going deeper into the reading of everything about that particular place and everything that makes, like for example, going to Dubai, it has changed the way I see the excellence. Like you would have a certain level of excellence, but when you visit Dubai and come back from there, there's your level of thinking about excellence and how you approach excellence is going to be upgraded. Really, even the way they build, the way they take risks, it just changes. If you go deeper into how they did everything, and you get inspired by that, you just go all out when you come back to your own business. Say, I want something that can be as great as Dubai as a business.
Would you care to explain exactly what you mean by excellence?
Excellence,
I mean, if you say you went there and you experienced excellence and you desire that excellence for your own business, what does that mean? What does that look like?
For example, when I desired to build a school, I'll just desire to build a school that looks like any other school. But coming back from Dubai, I'm thinking, what if I just build a 10-story building and it's a school and all levels are there? Every floor is a level, is a block, which is just a level of standard 1, standard 2, just like that. So I'm thinking of a magnificent building that everybody will talk about. But initially, I was just thinking of a school as a block of classes on the ground, everything on the ground, admin block there, everything there, But when you come back from there, you see the level of cleanness there. You start thinking, okay, can a whole city just be clean like that? That means even the school approach, then it should be clean like that. We should have lawn and pavement and no soil on the ground.
But we need plants.
Like we can have a portion where plants are planted, but I mean the playing area is just lawned up, or is an artificial turf, and it's just excellent and it's always clean. Like, every moment there's someone who is moving around and picking up litter in Dubai. Like you cannot see a piece of paper laying around on the road. Like that's the level of excellence that you see. And when you can, something that you can import and say, I'm going to adopt this level of excellence going back to my country or my business.
That's interesting. Sounds like it was really an inspiring visit. Talk about innovation in relation to your business idea. How important is it to be innovative?
Innovation is everything in business. Like really, for a business to stand the test of time, for a business to not phase out of the market, there's a need for constant innovation. All businesses that don't innovate, eventually they phase out. We could give examples of the likes of Nokia, BlackBerry. Those are giant companies in the days that we knew, and people who use those products, and those the people who ran those companies, they were sure that they are big and nothing can shake them. They had the biggest market shares, and over time, Apple came into the market. They came with these smartphones, they came with touchscreen and all those. And those companies were slow to innovate and go to that level. And that slowness to innovate means that Apple and Samsung and other phones that we're doing, Huawei right now, they took that market share that used to belong to BlackBerry and to Nokia. So had they innovated, we would still be having BlackBerry today. We would still be having Nokia smartphones right now. I've seen it seems like they're coming back to the market. I've seen some new smartphones for Nokia, but BlackBerry has completely phased out. We talk about Kodak. Kodak used to be doing those photos that you would shoot a photo and then you have to go and take it somewhere to be processed, and then you have your physical photograph. They didn't, when the digital cameras came into the picture, they didn't innovate in that direction. They thought because they had the market share of the photography, they don't need to worry, they don't need to fuss about anything. And guess what? They became history.
And resources, what are the resources that you feel are readily available for anyone to use? Especially, when you're starting out, you have just your business idea, you don't really have capital. What can one look to around them to use to try and scale up and start?
Starting, looking at the resources, you look at the resources that are there, you'll find that sometimes you just graduated or you failed maybe at university or at high school, and there are no many job opportunities that you can get with no work experience, with not much qualifications. You look at what is there. They could be land as in a farm. Maybe your parents or your grandparents have a farm. So you look into the possibility of saying, can I do farming business on that piece of land? Those are the resources that we are talking about. That if there's a resource like a farm, can I make use of it, start planting maybe tomatoes or potatoes or green peppers, those fast-moving vegetables? You can look into that idea. So maybe you're not into farming, you don't imagine yourself doing farming. What else can you do? Maybe parents have a car. There could be a car in the yard that your parents are not using, and they're willing to borrow it to you. And you could look into the idea of putting it up as a taxi or as a cab. Is what you have. Or maybe you're working and you get laid off, you already had a car, but you have a car, it's a resource. You can run a cab business, you can run a taxi business, you can run a school bus, you pick a few kids, and then you make some few bucks which are able to sustain you. And you can grow from saving from there. So really, the issue of resources is looking at what is it that you have that is around you. How can you commercialize it? How can you make profit out of it in its state? Maybe just by adjusting a bit there and there and making a use of it. You have a camera, you can start shooting people's photos, you have that. So you look into what is it that you have? What can I make use of?
Interesting. And lastly, let's talk about problems. Talk about problems as opportunities for business.
According to Dr. Miles Monroe, he says every problem is a business and every business is someone's solution to a problem. So all business ideas are born out of problems. So whenever someone comes up with a service or someone comes up with a product, there's a certain problem that they're addressing. There's a certain problem that they're solving. And there are so many problems that are out there right now. We haven't discovered the cure for HIV/AIDS. We haven't discovered the cure for cancer. We haven't discovered so many things. Those are problems. We haven't discovered the cure for poverty. And even for COVID, the recent COVID is still there. We're still living with it. We haven't discovered its cure. So those are business opportunities. If someone is trained in medical field, it could be their life's mission to say, I'm going to find the cure for any of these particular diseases that are haunting the whole world. Or it might not necessarily be about diseases. It might be about maybe the issue of food security that is facing the world, or the issue of fuel. Maybe you're solving the problem could be coming up with alternative source of fuel that you don't need to be using oil anymore. We just find an alternative way. Like we have seen with electric cars. Electric cars have moved away from oil, So those are some of the ways that we become innovative in solving problems. We come up with new ways that if the old way is not working, we can find a newer way that works, that is safer for the environment, for the people, and it is sustainable. It's something that will not run out eventually. Oil will run out one day. But solar power will never run out. As long as there is the sun, we'll always be able to produce energy out of solar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sodelo. We've come to the end of our episode today on the Entrepreneur and Enterprise Development Series. From myself, Podiso Mudirwa and Memodi Sonelo, and our amazing crew, thank you very much. See you next time on our next video. My ups and my downs, you make them.